afternoon, and thank you for joining us, friends. I am excited, so excited to introduce the speaker that I get to call my friend, Don Hobbs. And before we bring him on board, I just wanted to explain a little bit about Don and his background. I had met Don a couple years ago, and he is now the president of Success Magazine, Success.com, and Success Enterprise. Don has a wealth of information, knowledge, experience to drop today. So with that, please welcome the incomparable Don Hobbs. Don, welcome.
Hey, Stacy, thank you so much. It's great to be here.
And
How fun is this?
I'm nervous because I'm so used to talking to you on Clubhouse that, I'm making coffee or making sandwiches and we're just talking. And now it's like, this is it. This is the real deal. So
exactly. It's different in voice, right? We do the show every morning with some great co-hosts, and it's really fun to do that. But now we're like doing a real video. We're like live.
It is.
It's
wild.
I'm excited about that. Perfect. So great to be here with you. Thanks for inviting me.
I want to thank you for joining me. It's an honor, and you have no idea the impact that you have had in my life since I met you and really spent time with you from January to today. So I would like to thank you. So let's get started. For those that don't know Don Hobbs, Don, why don't you introduce yourself and give a little background? You have somewhat, little experience, a little bit, but let's go over that.
Yeah, a little bit. Well, that's funny. I got my start in the training space, like this personal growth space, when I was a kid. I was 18 years old, and some people say, well, I was 18 and I met somebody, or I learned, I listened to a tape or a CD or something. I actually went to a seminar, and Jim Rohn was the guy, right? Jim Rohn was the man that was doing it. And for those that don't know Jim Rohn, you probably, if you don't know him, and you should. I mean, I would urge everybody to look him up, and very findable on YouTube, very findable, very quotable. But I also know that his protege that probably many people would know is Tony Robbins. And I got my start with Jim when I was 18 years old. Tony Robbins came along, I think 3 or 4 months later. I just remember this big gawky kid coming in, and we were all a bunch of young guys. And so I spent some time with him and did sales for him. Then I was a regional director and eventually became president of the company. And I was 24 years old. And, when I left there a couple of years later, I started a company in the real estate space. So that's been my primary space, the real estate space. And we brought a way of thinking about real estate that was very different, a way of doing business that was much bigger than most realtors thought, and a way of doing lots more volume in the same time that most people struggled or, made a living. And we showed people how to build a huge business. And that was Hobbs Herder Advertising. We did that for a lot of years. And then I retired in 2010. And since I had a chance to work with Gary Keller, build a company with him at Keller Williams, and we built a training company and a coaching certification. And it's just been a colorful life. I've just had such an interesting weave through this, but it's almost like the river runs through it. I want to say, like, there's a part that runs through it, which is it's always been about helping people create abundance, create a different life, step into bigger, the human potential, really getting themselves out of the way and clearing out so they can really have everything they want in life. And that's been the part that's been, for me, the most rewarding and exciting. And now we're doing it a success, which is really a full circle story, considering the ironic part of that is I started my career with Jim Rohn, and Success had bought his library of material before he passed. And so we have all that stuff. So it feels like here I am again with Jim.
It feels like you're back home, really. Like,
yeah.
That's amazing.
He was like my dad anyway. So for me, it's like I'm very comfortable, in the things that we're doing. So it's very exciting. And of course, we're doing some wonderful things there. So we'll maybe have a chance to talk about some of those.
Oh, definitely. So let me ask you, as the president of Success Magazine, how do you, Don Hobbs, define the term success?
It's a great question. It's very interesting because it is such a personal thing. Now, I'm going to tell you my definition, but I'm saying what I recognized some years back is when I would, ask an audience, what's success? And people would raise their hand. What's success? What's success? What's success? And you realize that as many people as I could ask, there'd be that many different answers. So success, there's my puppy. Success is really about what it means to me. Like, what's success for me? There's no defined, whatever. But for me personally, just Don Hobbs, I've heard it before. It's not my unique idea, but it's to be able to do what I want, when I want, where I want, with whom I want, whenever I want, and to really have a chance to have the freedom to live the life that I really wanted to live, this big life that includes helping a lot of people and having a lot of fun. I mean, being able to do things where I'm not restricted and going, I sure wish I could make some more money. I sure wish I could have more time. Sure wish I, when you're doing that, playing smaller than you could be, you're not usually getting all the fulfillment, all the enjoyment, and all the bigness that I think God intended for us.
I love that. I love that response, and I completely agree with it. A lot of times people say, "I want money," or maybe I want freedom, or I want a great car, and the playing small part, I feel like most people do. I know I've done it for years and years literally until I met you in January. So I would love to discuss Jim Rohn is a huge mentor and impact in your life, and he has over 300 quotes. He's literally, I wouldn't say the Godfather, but he is one of the founding
One of them.
people, really, of personal growth. And he gave a quote that I love, and I wanted you to speak to it and tell me more. You aren't paid for the amount of time you work. You're paid on the value you provide.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of angles to come from, but that particular, quote, I remember hearing him say it many times. He usually brought it into his leadership programs. But, I think the reality is most people don't realize, especially if you've got a job. I mean, if you've got a job, nothing wrong with that. But if you've got a job, we think, well, we get paid for our hours, but we don't. We get paid for the value we bring. And so some people rise up in companies in the same hours that somebody else doesn't. But if you're in, a business like you are, where you own your own business like we are, and we own our own business. And of course, I'm successful. I'm an employee, and we have our own company, a real estate company. And so, I think very often it's not how hard you work, it's not how long you work. It's really, what do you bring to the marketplace, and how much value are you bringing in all forms? Meaning, like, are you, I'll tell you something. If we think about how a Tony Robbins is worth the money that he's worth, or an entertainer, let's go to entertainment. We watch movies, we hear music, and what do they get paid for? They may have a great voice, but many of them don't. I mean, there's people that have done really, really well and don't have a great voice. What is that? Well, it's changing people's states. It's giving people a way to escape. It's bringing them some value, right? So again, it could be entertainment. And in the business world, the entertainment really is, how do we bring them something that makes them better at what they do, gives them an easier life, and what they, how they see their life, makes life better. And I think if we're in sales, we have the opportunity to bring more goodness, more greatness, more of whatever it is that we want to bring. And it's not always the product, it's how we deliver that. It's who we are showing up as. And I think that, the value we bring is often more the human quality, often the human quality, more than just the product or service that we offer. So it's an interesting thought, but I do know that, if we look back on our life, Stacy, and we look at the people that have touched us the most, I'd be willing to bet most of us don't go, oh, he was a great organizer and he changed my life for that, or she was a great whatever it was. They touched my life in an emotional fashion. They touched my life in something that was giving, and in that became the value. And that's where the big money is. That's where actors and actresses and people that are performers, athletes, they get paid. John Sally was just on stage at a convention we were doing.
He's good.
And one of the things that he said was he always saw himself as an entertainer. And even when he became a basketball champion, he still saw himself as an entertainer, right? I'm playing basketball, but I want to make sure these people have a great time. They may only get to one game in a lifetime. They get to one game a year. And I want to make sure they had a great experience. And that's what the value looks like.
I love that. And so that leads me to mindset. So this has been your world since you were a teenager, which is not typical for anyone. I mean, the
Nope.
fact that you started at 18, I know what I was doing when I was 18, and it was not going to a self improvement. I had no idea what that even meant. And the fact that you started when you were 18 years old, Tony Robbins joins you the same time at 17 as a gawky teenager. Real quick, how did you think to join it and then say, you know what? That's it. I love it.
Well,
How did that look?
yeah, it's great. My mom, so I had moved out of my home, not for bad reasons. I invested, bought a condo and moved out. I think I was 18 and a half or something like that. And so I was living, wherever I was living in Dana Point. And my mom called one night and she said, I saw this guy speak tonight and you're going to love this guy. He made me think of you, which I always laugh at that comment because it's like, I made her, it's like he thinks like me instead of, he was a 40-year-old man or whatever. And so, that's the way she saw it. And so she said, I bought you a ticket for next month. I'm taking you. And, when I went, I laughed because it was like date night. It was like Saturday night. I'm like, what do I want to be at a freaking seminar for? Like, that's the
Exactly.
last place I can imagine. I was doing kid stuff at the time. But it wasn't more than a few minutes. I mean, this is funny. I didn't have a journal. I didn't have a notebook. I didn't have any of that stuff. I mean, what would I know about that stuff? And I had a stenographer's notebook, and the kind that fold this way,
Yes.
right, instead of this way. And I took 19 pages of notes, but I'll bet it was 15, 20 minutes in, and I was going, oh, this is amazing. And I walked up to Jim at the break and I said, I love what I'm hearing and I want to do what you do. And it just hit me as this is amazing. There's 1,000 people in this room and he's moving them, he's just infusing them. And I wanted to do that. So it didn't happen instantly. I bought everything he had, which was also interesting because it was a lot of money. And for a kid 18 who was struggling already to pay now mortgages and things like that, it didn't work out super well, super fast. But I went to his programs, spent a lot of money. If you can imagine, I went to $1,000 leadership weekend.
Oh
And I was
my
thinking, I was thinking now, like, that's $1,000 back in the 70s. Like, it was a lot of money. And so anyway, I went there, and that was a little 50-person group at a ranch in Northern California. I walked up to him and I said, I so want to work with you. I mean, how do I do that? And he sent me back to see a guy, and eventually I went to work for him, and we started building. It wasn't, like I said, it wasn't easy. I sold a lot of stuff that wasn't what I was supposed to be selling, and that was to liquidate money and stay in the game and be able to do that. What I was selling was like furniture and gold and things that I whatever I could sell that would make money. And then eventually it started. It really started. But I was just inclined. I just loved what he stood for. I loved who he was. I loved what he said. I don't know. It just hit me. And I did think like that. I mean, it was, there was a lot of me that was right there. I just didn't have a model for it. And
Your
he
mom
was,
was right. That was really cool that your mom saw that in you and put you in front of someone. I mean, that's a great parenting moment that she saw that it's not a gap. She saw what your strength was and she introduced you to it. That's incredible. And
yeah, it
there's
was pretty
nothing
fun.
common about you. By the way, who owns a house? Who buys a house at 18 or 19 years old? And then, hey, let me do this personal growth event on a ranch that I don't know anybody that's going there. Here's the one thing that I want everybody to listen to because you said it. It didn't happen overnight. Your success did not happen overnight. It
No,
probably didn't happen in a couple of months. How long would you say it took you? I mean, it's not a straight line, right?
it's not a straight line at all. I had like one good month in my, I don't know, fifth or sixth month and went, oh my gosh, I can do this. And the next month was disastrous. I'm like, oh, I can't do this. No, I was questioning myself. Self-doubt was creeping in at a major level. There was many times I wanted to quit, which, by the way, if there's somebody listening to this and they're an entrepreneur, if they haven't had that moment yet, it's coming. Because I promise nobody just goes, straight up. It doesn't happen that way. It happens, this and eventually I had a great year. I think I was 21 or 22. So it was like 2.5 years of struggle. And I remember, I'll tell you a funny story because my mom, was still getting, that was like my main address, because who knew how long I was going to be able to stay in this house and pay for it and all that. And she was my main address. So she would get all the bills, right? She would get all the nasty grams. And so she called me one day and said, I think you need to get a job. And I was like, listen, I'm already doubting myself. I don't need you, I don't need you going there. But eventually it paid off, but it was hard. Good months were few and far between. Bad months were mostly. And the faith in what I was doing, but the love of it, and being around these cool people, and the influence of the people, and plus it was a very personal side. My dad and I had never been close, and Rohn was kind of that person in my life. So there was a real attachment to him. There was a real, like, this is where I want to be, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to stay. And but I remember I think I was 20 or 21. I made $100,000. And I pictured this. This is, again, back in the 70s. This is a lot of money. And
that's a lot of money today.
Yeah. So, I mean, imagine, right? I was like, holy God, I've made it. I mean, struck it rich. And it's funny because I remember him saying to me, it was almost like a congratulations, but by the way, move on. Now that you figured out how to do that, do it in less time. And, there was a congratulations.
I love that line.
A challenge,
I love
right?
that line.
Yeah. Now do it in half the time. And then that's kind of where I've developed a lot of my theories around quarterly years, like having a year and a quarter, just really stacking the information in, stacking the work in, and really getting compressed, because we all know that work fills the time we allow for its completion. And if we just, pussyfoot around, it's going to take forever. Brian Reed is in the house.
Yeah, I love Brian Reed. Welcome. So, Don, I did want to say, someone had asked me, hey, ask him what his favorite books are. And I had said, anything by Jim Rohn, but you also like a book, and it's about condensing time. It's 12-week. What is
12-week year? Yeah.
And
so sorry.
No, I was going to say, what is the synopsis or the idea behind this book?
It's kind of what I was saying. It's really, and it came from that idea because I was actually teaching what I call, and I still do, the 13-week year, or, 13-week year. And then this book came out, and I was like, did I steal that from him? I don't think so. I was saying this before, but that book came out in 2013, I think, or 14, something like that. And it just kind of matched up perfectly, because when Rohn challenged me and said, hey, do what you've done, but do it in less time. Then there's the question, okay, if you, like, even for a coaching client of mine, right, I might say, so what's your goal? And they tell me the goal, and I go, okay, so now let me stretch you. How about doubling that? Oh, I don't know if I could do that. And then I get them comfortable with that, and I go, okay, let's double it again. Well, that's 4x, right? That's 4 times what they originally intended, which means 1 per quarter. So to me, it's always been kind of an interesting deal. And coincidentally, 13 weeks is really close to 12 months. So if we can just figure out how to do a month's worth of work in a week, we start to see real compression of results. And we start to really say no to a lot more things that squirrels and bright, shiny objects and things that we shouldn't be doing anyway. And we start getting really focused on the things that really matter. And what starts to happen is we're producing results. I've got a client right now that's really fun to deal with. And he just was so grateful when I talked to him this week. And he said, you've changed my whole life. He said, I've made more in this first quarter than I made any year in the past. And now he said, I'm on track to do like 5x or 6x over my best. That comes from a different mindset, comes from a different place of, how do we do more in less time?
Well, you had said in a previous video that doing something, the most important thing, this is the most important thing to do.
Yep.
Well, why aren't you doing that? So multitasking, you had said in the past, is a lie. And I was like, wait a minute. I thought it was good, but I could do 5 things at once.
Yeah, exactly.
I do them really well.
I used to advertise to trying to hire people that can multitask. It would be like, multitasking is a must. Like, okay, now it doesn't work. But it's really fun because you realize that if you're thinking about multiple things, you can't have your focused attention divided and have it be effective. What you need is focus, finish, focus, finish, focus, finish. And then, of course, it comes back to what is that activity that really is going to be the driver. And I always think in sports terms. So I'm thinking, how do I move the ball down the field faster to get from where I am at the 10-yard line to the goal line over there? And it's not making lateral passes and goofing off doing stuff that I shouldn't be doing. It's really about, how do I keep making passes that are significant down the field that get me to score, and then do it again, and then do it again, and do it again. That wins championships. And in life, it wins, wins big results.
And just to tie it up with the quote that you say, which is think big, and is it do small? Let's going small. So
small.
thinking big and going small, which
So
talks about
big, focus.
So I can't do 5 things at once, Don. I can't do, try and sell homes and then take it I can't do it all.
Well, there's things you can do. I mean, it's in the moment. It's the minute by minute decisions that you're making, that anybody's making, that are making those big life result differences. But you can have, you're obviously through the day, we wear many hats. I used to say to people, if you take out all your baseball caps that you own and you kind of put them out and go, this represents social media, and this represents, and this represents, and this represents, and you just grab one. And every time you change what you're doing, put on a different hat and go, well, I feel schizophrenic. Well, you are. That's why we end up goofy and, can't get anything done, because we're being pulled in so many directions because we're not focused. So thinking big is the key. I mean, it is by far. We did a class yesterday at a convention, and that event, we talked about thinking big. The way that you think absolutely changes everything. If you think big, you get big. If you think small, you get small. But the key is think big, but then go small, which has mostly to do with the focus about getting to that one thing, that little bit that I can do and accomplish, and then that drives the ball down the field, right? So that's really what it comes down to. That's where that quote came from.
Awesome. Now leads me to my next, which is coaching. And when you think of coaching, some people have a fear factor of, oh, this is going to cost so much money. I can't do it now. Maybe I'll do it in a year. And instead of thinking of it like this way, Tiger Woods, Michael Jordan, Wayne Gretzky, any powerful athlete, I'm pretty sure that they didn't win the NBA title or the Masters or the NHL, the Cup, without a coach. They didn't coach themselves, right?
Well, you're absolutely dead on. And the thing about it that people miss is they think the thought is, when I become successful, I will get a coach. I'm like, hello. That's like saying, when I get fire, I'll put in some wood. It's like, tell me the fireplace. Hey, come on, dude. I need some warmth. And it's like, it doesn't work that way. You put in first. And especially since we can't see what we don't know what we don't know. We can't see what we can't see. We have blind sides. Every one of us, me, you, everybody's got blind sides. We see things the way we see things, and we don't see what, where our weaknesses are. And somebody from the third party, that neutral position, who's not attached, and by the way, not your friend, because a friend can't coach. The hard part about that is a friend cannot coach.
It can, and a spouse can't be an accountability partner.
No, because they're too close to the result. They're too close to it. And so now there's a conflict, right? I want to be nice. I don't want to get hard. And a coach is there designed to say, hey, here's what I'm seeing. What do you see? Is this the way you want it? Because you're the one that told me that you wanted it different. And the coach is there to reflect that back to somebody and to be able to train and work and all that. So it really comes down to, how do we get, that total focus and put ourselves in a place, and we can't keep ourselves there. It's very interesting. If you think about the plane, I just got back from Scottsdale on whatever day it was. We got back on Monday, and Alice and I flew back. So when we leave Scottsdale and I get to Miami, let's say, because that was our stopover, get to Miami, you have to know that you weren't on track all the time. The plane was off. It was vectoring left, vectoring right, vectoring left, vectoring left, right. In our life, that happens too. The difference is it has autopilot and 2 pilots up there who know what they're doing. In our world, we get left, we get right, we get left. We totally lose track of it. We wake up a month and a half, 2 months, 5 months, a year later and go, holy God, I'm not even anywhere near what my goal is. I mean, I just landed in Cleveland and I was supposed to be in Miami, right? It's the same flight. It's, 4 hours. And when it comes down, I'm in the wrong city. And that's what happens. We get to, like I had a guy tell me at the end of last year, it was kind of funny because it was related to COVID and all that. And he said, I had a bad year. And I said, when did you discover that? I mean, it was like, how did that sneak up on you? It's like,
It's
how did you how did you not see that in March or April or something? Like you can fix it, but you
Right.
can't do that sometimes on your own because you're in it. You can't see the forest for those trees that you're living in.
So, as Success.com's president, why don't we tell the people what they have access to for free on a daily basis that has to do with
Sure.
every industry and relationships? It's
Yeah.
literally making people's lives better for it.
Well, we got a lot of things, really, to be honest with you. We start every morning off Monday through Friday with a room in Clubhouse, and and there's 6 of us that co-host that, and I know we're changing a lot of worlds. I mean, we hear it every day. We have
I love
people that
it.
come back and wouldn't miss, and the reason they wouldn't miss is, and the guy gave us a great compliment today and said, this is like, I get life-changing ideas in here, and you're so consistent. Like, we never drop the ball on it. And we all deserve credit for that. You deserve credit for that. And then there's, we have a class that we teach inside our world, which is a weird little world. It's an avatar world where we actually have our virtual company. Success is actually, our offices are in a virtual world, a gaming platform.
Yep.
And we have auditoriums there, and we do a class Monday through Friday there as well at, I think it's 11:30 on the East Coast. And then we've got, we've just launched a co-working space.
This is really cool. I want to bring special attention to this, Don. What is it for everybody?
Well, it's called Success Space. And we had a vision for, being able to give people a place because, again, COVID changed the world in many ways, not the least of which is people have been used to working out of their home, but it hasn't been convenient. My dog walks by, if the kids are running around or whatever. I mean, I've had executive meetings, top level. And here comes this little child going, "Daddy, can I have a, peanut butter sandwich?" I mean, it's just, it's not easy, right? So this co-work space is good timing. Plus, we call it a Success Space. We also have the Success Cafe inside each one of them. So we actually call this co-work, coffee and coaching. And we actually have a coach, one of our certified coaches from Success, inside each one of those franchises. So again, this may be, if people are listening, they may go, "Oh, wow, that sounds like a great franchise." It is. It's phenomenal. And it's gonna be sweeping. I can tell you in the first 3 weeks, we've had probably what I suspect is probably already 40 people committing to opening them up. You're going to see them popping up all over the world. And that's pretty cool. And we love the impact of it because we've also got some very different models for how it works, so that it's not the traditional co-work. And people can check in and only be there for 10 minutes and it works. And they don't have to have a membership. And there's just a lot of things that are really unique about it. And then we've got, so the co-work space, and by the way, the cafe and all that, I can be sitting at my little cubicle over here and getting coffee ordered and whatever. So I mean, there's just a lot of cool things. And I think we're going to give a lot of people a different environment where, we are the people we hang around, and this space will give people a place to be around winners. And, if I was to say to you, "Hey, Stacy, meet me for coffee at the Success Cafe," you're going to love that cafe too. It's, better than Starbucks in the sense of the environment. So we're just creating a lot of things. We've got our coaching company. We've got our coaching certification. If anybody's a coach or a wannabe coach or thinks they're a coach, but's never really been formally trained, which by the way is a big mistake. Come in. Oh, look at you. You're just loaded with all kinds of fun stuff here.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, that's our coaching site. And then we've got and there's a nice looking guy.
Yeah, who's that handsome devil? Ben Fairfield?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I'll tell Ben I said that. He'll like that I gave him a plug. But we have a chance to really do something remarkable. And I'll tell you one thing, Stacy. Do we have time for this? If I say something about that?
Yeah, please.
Yeah. When we were starting this, this will be my 3rd giant coaching company that I've been part of. And we raised one at Hobbs. We built a great one, but it supported that way of thinking. And then I got to work with Gary Keller, and we built one there, and it supported that way of thinking. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's what coaching in theory is. It's a strategy, it's a set of ideas and ideals. And here we decided we wanted to build the company that had never existed before, which was really, I mean, talk about thinking big. It's like, how do we do not what's been done? How do we do what's been done, not just better? Like, how do we do what's never been done?
Yes.
And to do that, we brought together some of the very best minds from some of the very biggest coaching companies inside real estate, outside of real estate, in every industry, in no industry like coaches, relationship coaches, just people that had brilliance around coaching, really getting the most out of people. And we brought them together in 3 masterminds, and we just sat for days and just talked through what worked, what doesn't work, what's the best, what's the worst, what do you hate about the companies you've worked with, what do you love about the companies you worked with, what should be done, what's never been done. And we just built this thing. And I'm telling you, when we got done with it, to me, it was like revolutionary, because you could see the formation of something that was revolutionary in an industry that has not changed really at all for years, except that it went from one-to-one, face-to-face to Zoom. Woo! It's like, there's the innovation. And I believe we've really got something that's major. We just built out the whole certification program, and we've got people coming to it that have been certified with other people and going, this is different. And so we love that they're recognizing that. And we actually formed a partnership with a guy by the name of Dr. Michael Abelson, who's been in my world for a lot of years. The real genius senior consultant in the world of DISC, DISC certification, DISC assessment.
He's the godfather of DISC, right?
He is the godfather of DISC. And we partnered with him and said, hey, we want our certification to include your certification, so people really get certified in 2 disciplines in one course. And so we're very excited about it. And it's coming up. And then we've got people that are just flocking to us because success should have had a coaching company a long time ago. It makes sense that the company that is all about changing lives and personal growth and helping people to their epitome of possibility should have something like that. And it didn't. So we do now. And we're very excited about representing all of that.
Well, I thank you for joining me. And there's no one else better suited to this position. You are very deserving of, and we're lucky to have you, by the way. EXP Shareholdings owns Success Magazine and Success.com and Enterprise. We are thrilled and honored, elated as someone who works for them, to have someone like you and access to you it's pure joy. It's changed my life since January. It's been incredible. And the fact that people could have access to you on success.com, can get free training where none existed before. It's incredible. I can't even take the smile off my face. You can't make it up. It's awesome.
So sweet. Thank you so much. We've got the new Success Achievers community too. And I'm not sure if you guys have talked about that or have flashed anything up down below. I haven't been looking at the lower third stuff that's going on, but if you haven't, we should probably put that somewhere in a link, because the Success Achievers community is really a great place, to go and be in personal growth, like to just absorb yourself, to just immerse yourself in personal growth. We don't have to go through Facebook and look at you guys are so good. You don't have to go through Facebook and end up with, nothing wrong with that, but look at the political commentary, look at some of the anger, look at some of the stuff that's going on there.
Well,
I have to go through all that to get to what I want, which is this personal growth. And we built our own platform in a different place where people come in just for that. And I think it's remarkable. Glenn Sanford, is the CEO of this company, but also the founder of EXP. Brilliant mind.
Yes.
Such a mind for helping people and changing lives and giving. And he said to me when we talked about this thing for the first time, and he said, hey, we have a chance to buy Success, to acquire it. And he said, I don't see this as something about what we can do. I see it as something we can do for the world.
Yes.
And our mission over the next 10 years is to touch the lives of 2 billion people. And if we get to more, that would be great, but to touch 2 billion people, and we can do that in many countries and many languages, and we've got the ability to do that. So I'm just thrilled, honored, and this is my life work. So it's pretty special.
Well, you've done a heck of a job, and you're leaving a legacy for literally billions of people, and Success Achievers communities down below. Please, if you like what you've heard, join us Monday through Friday, another freebie on Clubhouse. If you don't have a Clubhouse app, ask me, ask Don, we'll give it to you. You can join success.com and get access to free training. You can sign up to become a coach if you want. It's literally limitless, I believe. And that's it. So I just want to thank you again, Don. It means a lot to me that you joined me today.
Thank you so much, Stacy. Thanks for including me in this project of yours. I'm so proud of you and love that you're giving like you are. Like, this is a big deal. And I really love that you set your mind to it and are doing this for people, because the message that you're bringing through this program, through this live each week, it's spectacular. Thanks for including me in it.
Thank you so much. Have a great day, Don.